Rightio. Let's finish up with these angles, eh? So, there's some different things you're going to have to do, like applying the different vocabulary words if I give you a big mess of angles. So, first thing you might have to do A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. I would say identify as, vertical, adjacent, complementary, supplementary, or a linear pair. And then I would give you two angles to look at. So I would say angle Abe and angle FBC. So this is where if you have highlighters or colored pencils or a crayon, or even if you just lightly use a pencil, which I inconveniently did not bring with me at this moment, this makes it easier. But I think the easiest way to do it is literally just trace out your angles. And this helps you see it a little bit better. Some of you, I know, are just going to be able to look at it and tell without doing this, but it does make it easy. So A to B to E, and then F to B to C. So, see how those two lines and those two lines match? Makes one straight line, one straight line. So we're looking at this angle and this angle. They are exactly across from each other. That's a top V, that's a bottom V. So the answer is vertical. And see, this is where it'd be a little easier if I had pencil or something erasable, and then I could erase it. Angle, let's go GBC, and angle DBC. Bloop, bloop. So if you trace again, G to B to C, G to B to C, and then D to B to C. Blah. So it's basically this angle plus this angle. So if you look at it, it became one straight line, which, if you remember, two lines that make two angles that make a line. Also, if any of you could have told me that that word said pair, I would be amazed. So, those two are a linear pair because they make a straight line. But they're also right next to each other, right? Don't they share this middle side, and we have this angle and this angle here? That's also adjacent. So these can have more than one. Also, a line is exactly 180, so they combine to make 180 degrees, which is the definition of supplementary. So just as a note, if you ever think it's a linear pair, it's also going to be adjacent and supplementary. Now, if I asked you which angles are complementary, there's actually a lot of different answers here. But let's just go with the easiest one. Remember, complementary means 90 degrees. I conveniently have a 90-degree symbol right there. So what that means is that if this is 90, this is also 90, this is 90, and this is 90. So, all of those are 90 degrees. So we just got to look for two angles that, if you combine them, made up one corner. So I would say EAB and angle GBA. And obviously there's a lot more. You could have said, these two. You could have said this one and this one, or this one and this one. Right? So there's a lot of different answers. So that's the first thing you have to do with these. You got to actually label and identify. Second one, I think, is a little bit more fun because, well, I'm weird. But also, you actually have to do some adding and subtracting and stuff like that. Bum, 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 bum. Do, 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 do. Bum, 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 bum. Da, da, da. I should not hum. Okay. Z, Y, X, W, V, U, T, S, R. Q, P, O, N, M, L, K, J, I, H, G, F, B, C, F, E, D, C, B, and A. Anyway, and then I could give you something like, da, 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 da. This is 84 degrees, and let's say my friend right here is 52 degrees. And then what I'm going to do is literally ask you for the measure of a bunch of different angles. Like, what is the measure of IRV? What is the measure of WERV? What is the measure of da, 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 TR TERS? What is the measure of, let's go with so many angles here. How about SR, XRS? Right, measure of, let's go S, man, my brain is not working, RV. So, now I'm just going to give you a couple things, and you've got to figure out how many degrees each of these angles is by itself. So, some notes. Look for vertical angles because they're congruent. So that gives you the easiest thing. Look for complementary. And that helps you. And really in a question like this, that's all you're going to end up having to do. So this is where if you just look at the notes afterwards, you're not going to really see the thought process. But here we go. See, 84, exactly across from it is 84 degrees because they're vertical. Same thing here. If this is 52, you verticalize it, that's 52 degrees. So now, this is 90-degree angle, right? So if we know these two together are 90 to find this angle, you're going to do 90 minus 84, and you can get 6. So I know this is 6 degrees. So if this is 6, you go across, this is also 6 degrees. Now, this is the part that some people get a little confused on, but just remember, if this is 90, and so is this. So that means to find this angle, you can do 90 minus 52, and you get 38. So this is 38 degrees. So across from it, the vertical angle is 38 degrees. So, like I said, match the vertical angles that are across from each other because they're congruent. Then just look for the complementary ones because you know they have to add up to 90. Not that you could actually see what I wrote because I didn't move the webcam. Look at this. Write it down. Good job. You can't see my thumbs. Okay. Now, just trace. U, to R to V. And what's exactly between that is 84 degrees. Okay, WRV. W to R to V. What's between that is 6 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon. Okay, TRZ. T to R to Z. Now, see here is there's 38 degrees and 6 degrees. So all you're going to do is do 38 plus 6 and you can get 44 degrees. So when there's more than one angle, you just add them together. XRS, X to R to S. 52 plus 84 plus 6. Some of you might have been like Galloway, that was too much work. We know that's 90, so it's just 90 plus 52. Either way, 142 degrees, I believe. Lastly, SRV. So S to R to V. So there's two ways to do this. Oh my gosh, my voice. Whew. You can add. So you could do 38 plus 52 plus 84, which is 90 plus 84, which equals 176 degrees. Another way to look at it is it's almost a straight line, right? Which is 180, except for that 6. So you could have also done 180 degrees minus 6, which equals 174 degrees. And this is where usually if I'm doing this live, people would have said your math is wrong, and they would have been correct. So that is basically it for angles. It's a lot of practice of labeling and then trying to find different things like that. So one last thing, I said that like we were done, but we're done. Which is why this takes two sets of notes. So the last thing is, well, I guess I'll show you. I don't know why I'm speaking so much. I could give you something that looks like this, and then give you some math like, oh look, this is 47 degrees. This is 6x plus 1 degrees. What is x? So this is where you're going to have to use some algebra. You know this is 90 degrees. So then you can do 47 plus 6x plus 1 equals 90. Combine your like terms. So this and this together makes 48 plus 6x equals 90. And now we're just solving a two-step equation. 6x equals 42. Divide by 6, x equals 7. Sometimes I might not ask what is x, but what are the angles? So just get used to plugging it back in. 43 degrees. So, right, I can also do the exact same thing for 180 degrees. So I can give you two angles and say this is 15x plus 10, and I say this is 3x plus 8. So you have two different angles here, but we know this is a straight line, and a straight line is 180 degrees. So you're just going to do 15x plus 10 plus 3x plus 8 equals 180 degrees. Combine your like terms. 18x plus 18 equals 180, and solve. You got 18x equals 162. Divide by 18, you get x equals 9. Then we want to plug these back in. So 15 times 9 plus 10 is 145 degrees. And then if you do 3 times 9 plus 8, that's 27 plus 8, which equals 35 degrees. You could have also just taken 180 minus 145 and gotten 35, but sometimes it's better to plug it into both just to check your work. Lastly, I can give you something like this. Let's say this is 15x minus 8, and this is 12x plus bum, 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 28. So this is a little bit different. So a lot of people actually kind of get this question confused because they say, oh, 180. But these are across from each other. If things are across from each other, they're vertical. And if they're vertical, they are congruent. So when they're across from each other, you don't set them up equal to 180. You got to set them up equal to each other. And now this is a slightly more complicated solving, but you did this in algebra, so you should be fine. Take the x that's smaller, move to the other sides. You want to move them. X is on one side, numbers on the other, and it's easier to move the smaller one. 15x's minus 12x's is 3x's. Opposite of minus 8 is plus 8, so now we got 3x equals 36. And now we're going to divide to get rid of that 3. We get x equals to 12. But, like I said, most of the time I'm not going to ask you what is x. I'm going to ask you what are all these angles here. So you got to plug it back in. That was close. 12 times 12 plus 28 is 144 plus 28, which is 172. If you want to really check your work, you could plug it into this side, but you should know that these are equal. 15 times 12 is 180. 180 minus 8 equals 172 degrees. Okay, I almost just picked random horrible numbers that would have made that not work at all. So then you got to still find these two small angles here. So this is a straight line is 180. So if you do 180 minus 172, you get 8 degrees and 8 degrees. And with 1 minute and 50 seconds to spare, that is the second set of notes. Whew.